Hi, creative friends. This is Soraya, and thank you so much for being here. So, I'm super excited to do this video today because I am experimenting with my beloved tea bags and also my beloved oil pastels. So, I have my senneliers over here. I'm just going to put those off to the side, and I have these which are pronounced mungyo, and it's Mungyo. This is made in South Korea, and it is kind of a cheaper oil pastel. But like I've said before, sometimes with oil pastels, I want a cheaper brand because I don't always want the luscious, creamy, delicious, buttery textures of a higher end brand like Sennelier. Like sometimes I just want a hard mark. So I love these because not only are they affordable, but I just love the range of colors. And the color pigment is really beautiful. It's not a low quality pigment at all. Well, at least I don't think so. And I also have this Karen Dash over here, and I'm gonna save these for my maybe middle layers. So I'm just gonna start off with my cheaper brands, and I just want to bring this up closer because what I did is this is a cheap lined composition notebook, and this particular book is just my kind of experimental book. I use this book for all sorts of color palettes, and recently I did this over here using my tea bags. But this is just like if I'm taking a class or if I'm doing an art prompt from a book or wherever, then I just go in here and I say, hey, let me just try it out over here. So I layered tea bags over top of this, and now I am going to go in and use my oil pastels. And I'm so excited to try this out. And while I work on this, I am going to talk about why oil pastels are such an amazing choice, especially with mixed media. Now, I have made a few other videos on oil pastels, so I will put the links to those in the description below. But for now, I'm just going to go right in and just start layering and see what happens. And I'm so excited, you guys. So I'm just gonna there's an orange, the dress is orange over here. So I'm just gonna kind of use my orange. Oh my goodness. And already it is just so luscious. Oh my goodness. So this is going right over the tea bag. Oh, I can't even stand the tea bag mixed with the oil pastel is really just a beautiful pairing. So I was asked in a comment, how do I lay my tea bag down on the page? So what I do is I use Mod Podge for my glue, and it's matte because I just found that when I was using my glossy glue, the pages were sticking together so that I just had to chuck away my art journal. So I started experimenting with different kinds of glue, and I researched it, and I came up with the matte glue as a solution. So basically what I do is I just brush some Mod Podge onto the page. I place my tea bag wherever I'm going to place it, and then I take more Mod Podge and I put it over top of the tea bag to seal it. And so say if I'm going to add acrylic paints over top of it, or if you're going to use watercolors, you don't have to wait for it to dry completely. But if you're going to use oil pastels like I am doing, then I would wait until it's completely dry, because the tea bags are fragile, but when they're wet, they're even more fragile. Now, the Mod Podge is going to strengthen it a little bit just because, you're adding glue to the mix, and when it dries, glue does tend to have a like a hardening factor to it. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. So I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why oil pastels are so amazing to use in your art, especially mixed media. So the first reason is the colors are really rich and vibrant because they do have oil in them. And it's just such a delicious, um, there's such a delicious quality to the colors that it's hard to find this in other mediums. So the fact that we can mix the oil pastels with our mixed media, it just is so, it's such a delicious addition. And I'm just like kind of layering my colors, which leads me to another reason to use it is you can really layer a lot of oil pastels and you can get such rich and delicious marks and lines and colors. So I am going to go with my Caran d'Ache over here. Ooh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Really beautiful. I'm so loving this. And for some reason, like just when you have the tea bag, like, okay, I'm going to bring this up closer here. And I hope the camera can pick up on this. So I laid my tea bags over here. Can the camera pick up on that? So I laid it over there and I put like a piece over there. I put a piece over here and over here. I think I put a piece over here. So I did put a lot of the tea bags down on the page, and the oil pastel just goes over the tea bag just in such a velvety way. I know that's not a technical term, but I don't have another word for it right now. It is simply just a delicious mixture here. And you know what? I think that after I am done putting my oil pastel, I can actually lay a tea bag over top of it and I can seal it because the tea bag is transparent. So actually, I am going to try that out. Now, I think this is going to have to be in parts. But anyways, I just got ahead of myself there. But you know, that is a really good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on parts of this with the oil pastel, and then I can come in over with a tea bag and seal it. Ooh, that is so delicious. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to try that out and see what happens. Okay, so I'm just adding some of my ink here to the face. And I'm just going to build this up here. And like I said, this is my experimental kind of a journal. So, you know, the reason why a line composition notebook is such an amazing tool. I guess it's not a tool, I guess a vehicle, I should say, for experimenting is because, first of all, it's super cheap. I mean, you can pick it up for $1. The second reason is if I don't like, you know, what has transpired onto the page, I can always just rip it up and use it for collage. And I can write over top of it, I can journal over top of it. And I have made some really beautiful collage that I can now add to my art journals or junk journals, whatever, or even your art, you know, your Bristol paper, canvas, whatever. Um, and another reason why it's such an awesome tool is because I also use it for journaling, like for writing. And so you can write poetry, you can write your morning pages, you can, you know, do whatever you want to do. And then you can experiment over top of it. So, you know, I don't know if I have a page here. I actually really like this color combination here. But see, if I journal and then I could incorporate that into my art, and then, you know, if I say, oh, well, you know, I don't really like this page, but you know what, I'm going to rip it out and I'm going to tear it and use it as collage. So I love using these cheap lined notebooks for experiments. So I'm just going to continue working on this part over here, and I'm gonna, let me see here. I think I'm gonna go with a yellow, and okay. So I kind of forgot what I was saying about the oil pastel. So another great reason to use oil pastels is because you can make really bold, luscious lines. Like you have so much control over the oil pastel. Like, you know, it just gives you a lot of leeway. Um, and because it's like a crayon, it's not a crayon, but it is similar to a crayon. You know, it's just that there's an ease of use when it comes to oil pastels. Another reason is that, you know, it's so portable. Like when you're traveling, it is great to just put it in your little suitcase, and, you know, it doesn't like drip, and you don't have to worry about a jar of paint opening up. There are so many amazing reasons to use oil pastels, and it pairs really well with other media. Another thing is it goes on a lot of surfaces, because the way oil pastels were invented, it's that Picasso went into the Sennelier store, and he wanted uh, the grandson of Gustave Sennelier, who opened up the Sennelier store, he wanted him to invent a an art material that would go onto canvas without it having to be primed. And that's how oil pastels actually were invented, by Sennelier for Picasso. The owner of the store took a year off and basically invented oil pastels, uh, just for Picasso. So they do go on a lot of surfaces. And look at that. That is just so delicious. And I'm going to bring it up closer here. But like the texture is just, and I'm just like really rubbing into it. You know, I'm really rubbing into the tea bags, and they're not ripping. And like I said, it's because I think I applied the Mod Podge, and the Mod Podge is actually like it hardens it. I think I'm gonna have to drink more tea, you guys, because I need more tea bags. I need more tea bags for my art, so I'm definitely gonna have to up my tea intake here. And I'm only slightly kidding. I'm also very serious. And just look at that. Oh my goodness. This is too much. So I am going to bring this up closer here, and I'm going to tilt it. I'm going to tilt it like so, and maybe you can see the texture. It's just really beautiful. Oh my goodness. Like, look at that. And I'm going to tilt it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't even stand it. Okay, so I'm just going to continue working here, and just kind of let me see here. I think I'm going to go with more yellow. I am so loving this. And see, because the tea bag is transparent, you can still see what was underneath. So you can still see the writing and these white marks that I had. I put the tea bag over top of it, so it's still showing through. And I absolutely love that. Now, what I'm going to do over here is I think I'm just going to kind of like smush it in a little bit here, and just kind of like, and I think I am going to like add some blue here for the sky. And I think what I want to do is I want to put some dots here, kind of like so. And Ooh, now I am really loving this. Oh my goodness. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna kind of bring some of this in here. And I think I'm just gonna kind of like make some lines here. And I actually really like this here. I like what's going on. And I don't know if I want to add another color. I might maybe bring some yellow in here. Uh-oh, I should not have done that. It's okay. Let me just get that out. Okay, I'm going to use my other finger because I had some blue on that and then it kind of got into the yellow and I didn't want that. I didn't want it to be green. And see how beautiful and rich and layered that looks. And I mean, oil pastel is really just so beautiful to layer. And I think I'm just going to bring a little bit more orange here. So you guys, I made a video, I don't know, a few months ago, and it was basically, okay, first I made a video about oil pastels and how I use them in mixed media. And for me personally, I'm working in my art journal and I use mixed media in my first layers, in my second layers, and in my last layers. Now, there is an adage with oil pastels, and that says that you should put fat over lean, and you shouldn't layer other media over top of oil pastels because oil pastels don't fully dry, and so it could crumble off and it could peel off, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not archival, but I do use them in all of my layers because they're just in my art journal and I'm not selling it or I'm not, gifting it to somebody. So for me personally, I have always used oil pastels in all of my layers. But now with this whole tea bag situation, I am wondering if I put a tea bag over top of this, say over my oil pastel here, would that now make it, um, would it like seal it in? And then you wouldn't have that problem of it crumbling. Um, because the tea bag is transparent, so you could still see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this to completely dry. And then I'm going to come back in and add tea bags over top of it and just experiment because, we'll find out together. And that would be a great way to get rid of the whole you can't layer over top of the oil pastel. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But that's a great thing about experimenting. And I always have a couple of journals that are just my experimental books, and they tend to be composition lined composition notebooks, but you can have any kind of a journal. But I just think it's really important to have like an experimental kind of a journal, and that way, you can try out all sorts of things without the pressure of, messing it up or whatever, which, there shouldn't be anyways in your art journal. But, sometimes we are human. So sometimes there is that pressure of, oh, I don't want to try this out or whatever. But in your experimental journal, it's just like it's really, that's its only purpose, is just so you experiment. And then, later on, you can always use those pieces as collage for other pieces of your art, or in your art journals or junk journals or whatever. So anyways, I am going to allow this to completely dry. Obviously not the oil pastels, but I'm going to allow all of this to dry, and then we're going to come back in and just kind of see what the tea bag does, what it, how I can maybe seal the oil pastels. And I'm so excited about it. Okay, well, if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.